Okay. Hey, Graham, talking to your mic.
Mic is on. We want to thank you for waiting with us patiently as we had a little technical difficulties with our News Facebook live stream. We believe that our cable running to the mainstream in the high school got unplugged somehow, but thanks to the great minds of Travis Town for figuring out we were back on air. As you have not missed much, as the score is still in favor of running clock that has been initiated. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us and staying with us. We want to apologize for the technical difficulties, but it's good to be back on air. And Parker, let's take away with the rest of the game.
All right. Like Graham said, not much has happened since you guys have, or since the connection is cut out. But we're glad to be back up here with South Lenoir lining up with the ball with about 6:20 to go in the third quarter.
Howard shotgun snap.
He's looking back to pass. He completes the pass and gets a little more out of it. Looking to get up to about the 47, 48-yard line right there, making it fourth and 4.
So a great pass there by John Howard. And at this point in the game, all you can do is just, put in what you practice into a game-type scenario, and it looks like that's what the Blue Devils are going to try to do here.
Exactly. Like you said, get the goose egg out of the scoreboard. John Howard lining back up in a shotgun formation. He's looking to pass again, and can't tell if it's complete.
I think he had it. It's going to be tricky.
First and 10, South Lenoir.
That's a great job by the referee spotting that one, as that was a hard pass to tell if he was able to bring that in, as it was number 2, Joseph Cobb, who was falling down. And, when you stick your knee out like that, it's hard for the referee to tell if that knee's down before the ball gets to your hands.
You're right about that. And like I said, with our view right now, it is a little hard to tell, but as the ref said, they pulled it in, and John's lined back up in a shotgun formation, handing the ball off up the middle, and he's stopped behind the line of scrimmage. I want to say it's about 2nd and 12 now on the 46-yard line.
And real quick, we want to give you an update on our hashtag News score update. At the end of the third quarter, Parrott Academy is still ahead of Grace Christian by a score of 43-36. Or Grace Christian trying to make things interesting in that fourth quarter. And then we do have a final from Washington. The Washington Pan Pack have ended North Lenoir's undefeated streak by a final score of 33-6, and it just looks like that triple option offense was just too much for the Hawks defense to handle.
South Lenoir line back up in a shotgun formation. We got 3 wide receivers to the right of him. He's looking back to pass again, and he stays in the pocket for a little bit. Got a hand on him.
Doing a great
and he's
job.
Scrambling out, and he just gets back to the line of scrimmage. Looking to be 3rd and 13 again.
And look, for a sophomore quarterback, that's great field awareness. I mean,
exactly.
He had plenty of time to throw. He was looking, did not like the options he saw, was kind of getting some happy feet, but he was able to keep his composure and follow around and find some open lanes. And even though he just gets back to the original line of scrimmage, that's a great play on the ground that you see out of your sophomore quarterback if you're Jeremy Joyner.
Especially with those early interceptions. You want to try and correct those things, and it looks like he's not willing to throw a sloppy pass. He's back in a shotgun formation and throws it right away, and the pass is incomplete.
Just kind of overthrew it that time. I think he just had a little bit more of that adrenaline in his veins from that run play that he had earlier, but that's not a bad throw. I'd take it.
Like you said, they're trying to throw the ball a little more and try and get him more involved instead of handing it back off.
And I really am impressed, and this is just what Jeremy Joyner was talking about when we talked to him in our pregame interview about how competitive South Lenoir still is in this football game. If you look on the sideline, none of the players have their heads down. Everybody in the huddle seems to be cohesive. They're talking things over. John Howard's being very vocal, and now Jeremy Jordan's going to call a timeout. But, you're not seeing any quit.
Exactly. You want to finish it out strong regardless of what the score's looking like. And that's exactly what they're doing.
But nonetheless, Kinston High just is doing a great job of doing what they said they wanted to do after suffering their first conference opening loss since 2014. They wanted to recreate, their identity. You have your starting quarterback come back for his second week. You say that 8-3 is a mission. You're going to win out the rest of the season, and you want to get back to your dynamic game plan that Kinston High possesses, which is passing the ball and running. And they've done a great job of running it right up the middle, running it on the outside, on passing, taking some smart, deep passes off of penalties. Kinston High just, came out here and executed everything that's been, causing them to lose so far this season.
Yeah, on both sides of the ball, the Vikings were looking good tonight. Defensively, they've been able to. So far they have shut out South Lenoir, and offensively, they put up 46. It's been a great night for the Vikings, as John Howard lines up. Oh, I was about to say. I thought.
That's actually going to be. That's going to be number 8, Calvin Holloway back there in the backfield, who takes that punt return up to about the 39-yard line for the Kinston High Vikings.
That was my mistake. I was sitting here thinking they were about to run another offensive play, but a smart decision right there to decide to punt the ball on 4th and 13.
And that will get the Viking offense back out on the field as we are closing in here on this third quarter. And really, for South Lenoir, I'd consider it, to be a moral victory just for the rest of this game. You can just shut out Kinston High. As a holding penalty.
Yep, on the Vikings. It'll be spotted on the 28-yard line now for the Vikings as they start this new drive. 1st and 10 with about 50 seconds to go at the end of the third.
Penalty number 1 of the second half, or penalty number 2.
I was about to say wow, that's kind of impressive.
Yeah,
considering the first half.
Yeah, but the reason I say number 1, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after a touchdown is just kind of, you could take it or leave it.
It doesn't affect you that much.
Another high snap.
Back.
And it's going to be recovered, it looks like, by South Lenoir.
Yep, recovered by the Blue Devils, so it'll be 1st and 10 on about the 26-yard line. It was back behind the line of scrimmage.
Those high snaps, once again, causing harm to this Kinston High offense, as that's going to close out our fourth quarter here in Deep Run. The score, Kinston High has extended their lead of 46-0 over the South Lenoir Blue Devils, and we have one more quarter left to play here in our News Game of the Week. And with that being said, let's real quick thank our sponsors for making this game happen. Our News Game of the Week on Facebook live stream is presented by Magic Mile Screen Printing Company. We also want to thank our sponsors in part by Lenoir Community College, along with Downey's Protection Systems, LJ Electrical Company, and Dempsey's Pharmacy. And while we have a moment, let's go ahead and remind you, if you're an entrepreneur, a social media manager, or a marketing professional, you need to be at the SM3 Social Media Summit in Kinston on October 5th. We have speakers from across the state who will talk about how to go viral with your videos, how to sell, how to market your brand, create a social media calendar, and more. Go to sm3summit.com. And also, if you have not subscribed to the News newsletter, then you are missing out. It's free, it's in your inbox at 7 a.m., and it's full of today's headlines. Go to newsnews.com to subscribe, and also have great updates on local high school sports like you're seeing right now in our News Game of the Week on Facebook live stream. We're actually going to be joined by a very special guest who we spotted in the crowd. Hold on.
I was about to say, now we have a legitimate guest.
Let me get a chair real quick. Let's see. Grab that chair right here,
Yeah,
man.
while we're doing this, Switch mics, or switch this with me. Grab it behind me. And I'll see if I can slide over. If I can get this right. There we go.
We gotta get it adjusted for you here.
Yeah, hold on.
Joining us on our he's got his own microphone. Never mind here. You can take that back.
I thought that.
Here, I'll take this headset back, good sir.
I just didn't want it going over.
And joining us for our second guest on our News Facebook live stream, first-year head coach for the Green Central Rams, Jay Wilson. Jay, I can't really turn around that much, but how you doing, man? It's great to see you.
Everything's going well, man. Good to see you, too. You guys are looking great to see you.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it as always. And Jay Wilson, yep, there you go. You're on there. So, Jay, once again, real quick, how you doing, man? It's great to see you out here. You know, you guys have an off week this week as you took on the North Pitt Panthers this past Tuesday and got a 14-6 victory, and just out here doing a little bit of scouting.
Yeah, these are our next two opponents. We have South Lenoir coming up for homecoming next week, and then we travel down to Kinston the week after. So we have two big games back to back. We're going to be in the thick of the conference season, so we come down here and see if I can see them on the hoof real live.
As play gets ready to resume here, real quick, I'll ask you a question. We had you guys last week for our first News game of the week as you guys took on North Lenoir. Valiant effort, I will say that. You guys really impressed me. How good was it to get a bounce-back win against the North Pitt Panthers this past Tuesday?
It felt real good. You know, the guys were, they were hyped, really hyped for the North Lenoir game being the game of the week, and then to kind of fall short a little bit, and then to turn right around 3 days later and face another very physical team. They run kind of a very similar system. And we played better and we scored a few more points, and they were excited about coming out and winning.
As Howard in the previous play had a complete pass to number 2, that's going to be Joseph Cobb, and that's going to get the Blue Devils right about the 13-yard line. Coach Wilson, you said that your next game is going to be homecoming against the South Lenoir Blue Devils as it's 3rd and 10 coming up, ball on the 13-yard line, as Howard will give a handoff to number 1, Xavier Mitchell. How impressed have you been with the homecoming crowd here tonight at South Lenoir High School?
Yeah.
I mean, South Lenoir is always going to come out here and support their programs. That's one thing you can always expect out here. They really get behind all of their teams, and they stay to the very end. And so you have to commend that. You have to commend what they do for the community and for the programs.
And a lot of people didn't get to see. We had our pregame interview last week, and I asked you the question: what's kind of been some of the ups and downs so far as your first year as a head coach? As it will be 3rd and 8 for the South Lenoir Blue Devils with the ball on the 18-yard line. John Howard will be in shotgun formation. He'll take a low snap. He's going to think about rolling out to the side. He's going to put it through the middle, and it's almost picked off, but it's going to be an incomplete pass. But back to my question, what's been some of the ups and downs that you faced sometime in your first year as a head coach?
Just some of maybe our offensive struggles. We're put ourselves in a position to score, and then we have, what I like to call them brain farts with the guys, and they make a mistake or they we have a turnover or something like that. So, after those first 2 weeks, we've been playing much better defensively. So now it's just a chance to, get our offense on track and get healthy. We've had a ton of injuries, so that's kind of been an issue for us as well.
And I was about to say, I've seen all the, how good your defense has been with your players posting on social media, the turnover chain. Yeah. I saw you guys break it out against North Pitt, too. How did that feel?
Yeah, we're going to get to that, but right here is 4th and 8 coming up for the South Lenoir Blue, or it's actually 3rd and 8 as Howard's going to take a shot to the back of the end zone. It's going to fall incomplete. Yeah, I was going to say, how good was it to see the turnover chain come back out against North Pitt? And
I tell our guys, I said the more we have the chain out, the better off we'll be. And so that's sort of our catalyst. We want to shake it and rattle it and have it out there, as much as possible. And we were able to pull it out about, I think, 3 or 4 times against North Pitt. So that made a difference in the ball game.
Mm-hmm. That was a 4th and 8 play on that previous play, so it's going to be a turnover on downs. And speaking of the turnover chains, when I was on the sideline of Kinston High earlier before this game, I noticed a player carrying around a WWE belt. So I asked Coach Giesman, I said, is that y'all's, equivalent factor of the turnover chain? He said, actually, we give it to our best lineman who exceeded in academics this past week in school, which I think is really cool as That's going to be Holmes keeping on the quarterback keeper. He's going to roll out to the left side, get past the 20-yard lines. But I've never heard of that, achieving some, get rewarding somebody for how well they succeed in the classroom. I'm sure you'd agree with me as a coach. It's always grades first, then football, because you're not going to get nowhere in a football career without grades.
Yeah, that's the very first thing. Anybody who comes into the building to recruit, the first place they stop is the counseling office before they even talk to me or before they even go to talk to the kid. And if the transcript doesn't look right, then they don't even, it's not even worth the effort. So, the academic piece is very, very important. It's something that we all as coaches stress a lot.
A question that I want to ask you coming up after this next play is it's going to be 2nd and 4 for the Vikings. Ball on the 24-yard line. Holmes, another high snap. He's going to hand it off to, it looks to be number 22, Nicky Walters Jr. on his first carry of the night. You are also a coach at Green Central High School. I believe it's American history, right?
World history.
World history. One of my favorite subjects either way, history. Tell us a little bit about how much better the relationship is between not only your football players, but just students in general at Green Central being a teacher for them.
I teach the majority of the freshmen that come through, so I've actually been able to recruit a couple of kids who, hadn't thought about playing or, whatever, and, we were able to build a bond, and they've come out and they've been very productive on the football field. But it gives you a chance to meet everybody and, learn the freshmen as their very first year. So it really, really helps everything that you do going forward.
Dimitri Holmes on the previous play, another handoff to Nicky Walters Jr. for his second carry of the night. He's going to roll out to about the 42-yard line, but not before he's able to pick up a Vikings first down. Coach Wilson, obviously there's no point of shadowing it. Kinston High has come out looking great tonight. What's been some of your impressions from this Vikings team as you have them coming up in your schedule?
They're very fast, and they seem to be very comfortable in what they're doing. Those coaches over there are going to always have a great game plan prepared for you. Their front line looks very strong and very formidable on both sides of the ball. Number 71 on the defensive side has been in the backfield all night long for Kinston. You have to be prepared for it. So,
and of course, that player you are referring to is 6'1" junior, number 71. Aronde Whitfield. He has just been a mayhem for the South North offense all night long as Dimitri Holmes' pass was.
That was a pretty good completion right there to get up to the 30-yard line, it looks like. 1st and 10 for the Vikings.
And that's now going to put the ball.
29-yard line.
With 6 minutes left to go here in the ball game, Kinston up 46-0. I had a question that I was going to ask you about. I saw last night for the Temple versus ECU football game when you actually took a couple of your players to that game. How special of a treat was that to be able to watch a college football game as Holmes is going to hand off, or he's going to fake the handoff, and now he's going to jerk the pass a little bit and now try to throw a completion, and Nicky Walters Jr., but it's going to go through his hands and fall incomplete. How special was it to take some of your high school football players to a collegiate football game?
It was very good. We got there really, really early so we could see the guys warming up. Trying to show the guys what it looks like on the next level. I said, I preached to them. I said, this is only one level up from where you are at right now. So if you're thinking about going to play on that level, you need to see what it looks like in living color. So we were able to take about 20 guys over. And it was very funny. Jaden Tyson, who had a great night Wednesday, that was his very first collegiate game he'd ever seen.
Really?
So he was in there with the wide eyes, like, oh my gosh.
And how special a game was that? As Kinston High has drawn up a special play here, as that's going to be a huge first down carry for the Vikings. I was about to say, it doesn't get better for your first college football game. Prime time, ESPN, 8 o'clock, blackout game. I'm sure, even as a head coach, you've seen and you've played, college football. I'm sure you still get goosebumps every time for a big time atmosphere game like that.
Oh, yeah. ECU is always going to have a great atmosphere. The fans are going to be singing and dancing in the band. So it was great for him to see just how it looks to be and sounds, in that college atmosphere.
Holmes fakes the handoff. He's not going to throw to the left side. Well, he'll complete it to, it looks to be number 8, Calvin Holloway, who is going to get just short into the end zone, maybe just a little bit shy. We'll win the official call.
I'll say just short of a first down, it actually looked like. So they were on the 29-yard line.
Well, nonetheless, we are joined by head coach of the Green Central Rams, Jay Wilson. Coach Wilson, it's always a pleasure to see you, man. You're one of the most enthusiastic coaches that, we probably have in this conference. And, you're always so much fun. I mean, how great is it to be, as Holmes is going to hand off, and he's going to give it to, it looks like, Walters Jr. on the carry. Or that actually might have been number 21. Actually, it was number 10, Davion Phillips, I believe, the ball carrier for the Vikings.
Looks to be a touchdown.
Yeah, he got in. Yep, number 10, Davion Phillips on his first carry of the night. That's good for a touchdown. One more final question I want to ask you. You know, you played football at North Carolina A&T, and now you had JV coaching a little bit at Green Central. How special is it to continue to be a part of the game that's probably changed your life so much by being a high school football coach?
I absolutely love it, and that's the reason why you get into coaching. I mean, wins and losses come a dime a dozen, but to get in there and be able to change somebody's life by what you do for 4 years or 3 years or however long you have them, that's the real big part of it. And I enjoy every bit of it.
As Diego Patino's extra point is good, and that's now going to give the Kinston Vikings a 53-0 lead with about 2:35 left to go here in this ballgame. Coach Wilson, man, it's always great to see you. We want to have you back on our Flourish Show podcast for this basketball season. Speaking of Flourish Potter, you got to keep those Snapchats coming, man. I love it.
That's my dog. He was on the sideline with us on Wednesday. I said you got to come flourish on the sideline a little bit.
I love it. That's awesome, and that's just some of those relationships that I'm talking about that you build with students. He doesn't even play football yet.
No.
But he said he wants to come lift with you.
Yeah, he's going to lift with me in the off season. I told him I'm going to get him up to about 175 pounds.
You know what you got to tell him? My dad always tells me you got to go at it like a crazed dog.
Yeah, that's the only way you can attack it.
You got to go at it hard. Well, thank you so much, Coach Wilson, for joining us. It's been such a pleasure, and good luck to you in the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And actually, a huge thank you to Travis Town for that spontaneous setup that you did for our special guest. Our News production team always doing a great job. And while we have just a little bit more time remaining in this ballgame, Parker, why don't we thank them? We want to thank Travis Town, Chris Decker, Cameron Decker, BJ Murphy, and I thought I was able to do it without my. Oh, here it is. All right. Brandon Potter, Chris Decker, Travis Town, Cameron Decker, Najee Cobbs, and, of course, the man with the plan, Magic Mile Media News owner, BJ Murphy, for helping us execute our second week of the News Facebook live stream between the Kinston Vikings and the South North Blue Devils. And probably not the most ideal way that South North wanted to spend their homecoming game, but there's room for improvement. I definitely have seen some improvement here tonight as the Vikings prepare to kick it off.
And I think, we brought this point up a couple of times already throughout the live stream. You know, this coach for the South North Blue Devils,
Jeremy Joyner.
Yeah, they talked about this game being more of a learning experience, and obviously they want to go out and compete, but learning is more of an option for them with the young core that they have out here tonight.
And, of course, as Jay Wilson said, next week it does not get easier as they face a very tough Green Central opponent as they'll go on the road. October 11th for Green Central's homecoming, so you better believe that the crowd's going to be fired up in Snow Hill for that game, as we are just a minute and a half away from this game being over with, as South Lenoir's offense is back out there on the field for what will probably be the final drive, as the ball is going to be spotted, I want to say, just shy of the 30-yard line, maybe about the 28.
And with it being so late, I'm sure they have subs in right now, not really wanting to hurt the key starters, but getting some younger men out there to try and get them the experience.
Well, their starting quarterback is still out there, John Howard. He's going to drop out of pass. He's going to throw it right at the middle where he is looking for the intended receiver, Joseph Cobb, but just throws it just short. And if Cobb had completed that pass, he would have been going for a touchdown, as we are now under a minute left to go to our News game of the week. As we are now 42 seconds, and that's going to bring up 2nd and 10 coming up for the Blue Devils. .30 seconds left to go. South North's offensive line coming back up. And let's see what they do here, as they might just take a knee, but might try to get one more play off, as the snap is made, and it fell at the ground of Howard, and he finally decides to pick it up. He's rolling out to the right side. He's now going to be brought down about the 38. A little bit of confusion there.
But he wasn't out of bounds, so the clock's going to run out.
And that's probably going to be the last play of the game, as the clock does hit 0. And that does it here for us in our News game of the week. The final score, the South North Blue Devils 53, the Kinston Vikings 53, the South North Blue Devils 0. The Vikings will now improve to an overall record of 4-3, and they pick up their first conference win in the Eastern Carolina Conference. South North will now drop to 2-4. And they still look to find their first East Carolina Conference win as they'll drop to 0-2. But, Parker, real quick, let's kind of talk about this game just a little bit. I mean, South and North played their hearts out. Absolutely. So you got to give them the utmost credit that you can give. And really what it came down to is I just think Kinston just had too much of a bad taste in their mouth after losing to Washington to, not come out here and execute right off the bat and play their type of football game, which they did very well.
Exactly. And again, South Lenoir had those sparks where they were almost there in the touchdown, but penalties overall just ruined majority of the game for them. And it messed up Kinston a bunch too. I mean, the score doesn't show it, but Kinston and South Lenoir were just penalty. It was penalty after penalty. And that, that hurts your team a lot more than bad playing.
As one thing I am taking notice here in the huddle as Corey Pitts and number 2 of South Lenoir. As I try to get the roster back here, number 2 of South Lenoir, which is Joseph Cobb, shake hands. Of course, the 2 are half brothers, along with Joseph Cobb's brother, number 3. Robert Cobb, who could not play tonight due to injury, shake hands. We talked about how they were both really excited to play each other, and they did a fantastic job of supporting one another, keeping it clean. There probably was some friendly trash talking, but that's always good when you see family, recognizing each other. I'm surprised we didn't see a jersey exchange.
Yeah, I know. Like I mentioned earlier, it's always cool to see the 2. What are they, cousins? Or I don't want to get this wrong.
Half brothers.
Half brothers. Okay, just 2 half brothers. I mean, family competition's always fun. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm not out there playing on the field, but at the house, I understand. And trash talking with each other is always fun.
Well, real quick, as we start to wrap things up here, just give us your oversight of South Lenoir's performance and Kinston High's performance tonight in this game.
Well, South Lenoir, again, they had those sparks where they were so close to scoring, and they just couldn't capitalize on those scoring opportunities due to either penalties or just simple mistakes that could have been avoided. But again, they drove hard. They did, like I said, they were almost in scoring. They were in scoring position a bunch of times, just couldn't capitalize. For Kinston, I mean, both sides of the ball were great tonight. I mean, you had 4 or 5 forced turnovers mixed with putting up 53 points tonight. And I don't think you could have asked for a better game from Kinston High tonight.
And like I said, the thing that really impressed me regarding the Kinston High Vikings is the one thing that gave them such trouble last week when they played Washington. They executed it very well tonight, a couple of plays by defeating South Lenoir with that triple option offense. I mean, they did a great job on passing, and they did a great job of getting back to their style of football, which Ryan Guzman says is, a little bit of pass play and then a little bit of run plays, but, going back and forth. And he said that's the one thing they've kind of been struggling with in those 3 losses was not being able to go back to their usual game plan. But you saw that tonight, and it worked effectively for them. And for South Lenoir, like, Coach Joyner said before this game, it was going to be a learning process, either way. And, Kinston High, a very tough team, a team that could most certainly outright, win out the rest of the season. But for South Lenoir, the culture is changing. You are seeing competition or a competitive nature week in and week out with the South Lenoir Blue Devils team. And, the score might not show it, but they did give a valued effort tonight and gave it their best. And while we have just one more time, let's go ahead and check up on our hashtag News score. Final from Genius Smith III, Arundel Parrott Academy 51, Grace Christian 36. Parrott Academy will now be first place in the Big 8 Conference. And then final from Aiden-Grifton High School, the Aiden-Grifton Chargers followed to the West Craven Eagles by a final score of 34-21. And, of course, as we mentioned in Washington, North Lenoir's undefeated streak has been snapped as they lost tonight to the Washington Pan Pack by a final score of 33-6, I should say. And, of course, our final score from here is The South Lenoir Blue Devils fall into the Kinston Vikings by a final score of, well, they already had the scoreboard off.
It was 53 to nothing.
53-0. And one more time, let's go ahead and thank our New Snooze production team for all their hard work they've put in tonight. We want to thank Travis Town, Chris Decker, Brandon Potter, Cameron Decker, Najee Cobbs, and Magic Mile Media New Snooze owner BJ Murphy. And one last time, we want to go through and thank our sponsors who have done a great job in making sure this broadcast was executed perfectly. The New Snooze Game of the Week is presented by Magic Mile Screen Printing Company. We also want to thank our sponsors in part by Lenoir Community College, Down East Protection Systems, LG Electrical Company, and Dempsey's Pharmacy. And don't forget the SM3 Summit with New Snooze will be taking place tomorrow night. And be sure to subscribe to the New Snooze newsletter. Once again, the final score here from Deep Run at South North High School. The Kinston Vikings defeat the South North Blue Devils by a final score of 53-0. I'm Graham Hill. Alongside me,
Parker Mitchell.
Graham Hill and Parker Mitchell, of course, Travis Town and Najee Cobbs joining us for this. I had that right. Najee Cobbs join us here with our New Snooze production team. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here tonight for our New Snooze Game of the Week on Facebook live stream. Good night, everybody.